Hello, I am Shondell Dawson, the Director of the Office of Family Violence Prevention and Services, and I have the privilege of working alongside an amazing team to administer the Family Violence Prevention and Services Act funding and grant programs. I'm so thrilled to be celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Family Violence Prevention and Services Act. And on behalf of the OFVPS team and myself, we want to extend our eternal gratitude to survivors and advocates who paved the way for this change to happen for over 40 years. Over the last 40 years, you all have achieved amazing accomplishments that would not have been possible without your unwavering commitments to survivors, children, and youth. Your advocacy, leadership, and organizing has changed lives and improved our nation's ability to help, believe, and support all survivors. You've made sure that survivors are leading the way no matter the challenge in front of us. You've broadcast voices and experiences of survivors who are often brushed aside and silenced, and you've helped them pull leaders into accountability dialogues nationwide. You've centered sovereignty, civil rights, language justice, accessibility, and inclusivity, using traditional and cultural principles that values the humanity of us all. You've partnered with agencies and strengthened healthcare services, child support services, housing services, behavioral health services, and youth services that are now universally sharing information about violence, trauma, and abuse, and connecting survivors to free confidential programs, shelters, hotlines, tribal services, and culture-specific services in their communities. You've supported survivors' economic security by partnering with child support agencies, asset builders, and banks and foundations. You've built evidence that helped policymakers affirm that domestic violence and sexual assault programs help survivors experience less violence over time, have less difficulty accessing community resources, and have increased social supports, and have a higher quality of life. You've built specialized housing first programs for survivors that researchers have affirmed help survivors be stably housed for 36 months, and affirms that flexible financial assistance is an effective life-saving support for survivors fleeing abuse. You've built trainings that helped us all understand how to talk about and ask about trauma and build services that were trauma sensitive and caused less harm. You've paved the way to support and heal abused parents and their children using traditional practices, multilingual practices, bicultural practices in rural communities and sprawling cities nationwide. You've made sure that we were building bridges to faith leaders to support safe access to spiritual healing for survivors. You've talked to Head Start programs and middle schools and high schools and colleges, trade schools and universities to help them make policy changes to support young people and young adults who are seeking support if they're dating someone that's hurting them. You've made sure that your communities are investing in survivor-led solutions and asking permission to sit at tables where survivors gather and organize. You've paved the way to make sure that there are people in community that will sit and listen and follow the lead of survivors and ensure that they're not shut out of programs and supports. Thank you for making sure that survivors have the resources that they need and that they're believed and supported all across the country. FIPSA exists because you've organized. FIPSA exists because survivors organized and testified. FIPSA exists because advocates made phone calls and supported public hearings and partnered with policymakers and made sure that no one ever forgets that there are people out there who need us, who are surviving trauma and abuse every day in this country. Thank you for ensuring that people understand that how we help is equally as important and as being inclusive of who we help. You all have ensured that FIPSA funding reaches and provides 9 million shelter nights per year in this country and serves 1.3 million people annually, 330,000 of those people being children. You've built an incredible legacy that you all should be very, very proud of. Thank you for your unwavering support. Thank you for your unwavering advocacy. Thank you for all that you do to ensure that those living in this country have support when they are trying to survive violence, trauma, and abuse. You're amazing, and we're grateful for you always.